feeling this old school shit. DJ Faze, what up? What's good, homie? It's your boy Face, CEO of Face Off Entertainment, representing Fort Dox. I'ma go in on this one. Listen. This one's for DJ Faze, the shit that he played blaze, cut sharper than the EK blade. Rappers are eating, time to get the DJs paid. Faze, that's the fan, been rapping this Bronx shit like Big Pun. Carry big guns for the conflict, wedged under the armpit, eyeing the scope. Index finger on the trigger, dive you close. I don't promote violence, but approach, you know the toast firing, so I suggest you don't. Who you know flow better, hot enough to do the whole winter, no sweater. You could bet you won't find a better flow ever. Old school with a new school twist. You fools got 2 views on your YouTube hit. As I mic check, 1, 2 spit, and DJ Faze cuts and chops it up like a kung fu flick. I'm on the track doing somersaults, and I'm sorry if I come across arrogant, but I swear I'm the boss. Top rank, salute the general of lyrical warfare, producing chemicals to kill MCs as I boost to pinnacles you can't reach. You looking like food, you edible. It's the capital F-A Ice on Murdoch Ave and Edenwald. That's the corner we play dice. Head cracks, 4, 5, 6 and trips. Then it's straight to the flight club to get some kicks. These niggas looking like how we spit so sick for so many years and still look fit as shit. Nigga, I bench press lyrics, do dips on bars, and push up on chicks when my dick gets hard. Face is my alias from way back in the days. Hey yo, DJ Faze, keep playing this. Yeah, I'm feeling this old school shit. DJ Faze, what up? What's good, homie? It's your boy Face, CEO of Face Off Entertainment, representing Fort Dox. I'ma go in on this one. Listen. This one's for DJ Faze, the shit that he played blaze, cut sharper than the EK blade. Rappers are eating, time to get the DJs paid. Faze, that's the fan, been rapping this Bronx shit like Big Pun. Carry big guns for the conflict, wedged under the armpit, eyeing the scope. Index finger on the trigger, dive you close. I don't promote violence, but approach, you know the toast firing, so I suggest you don't. Who you know flow better, hot enough to do the whole winter, no sweater. You could bet you won't find a better flow ever. Old school with a new school twist. You fools got 2 views on your YouTube hit. As I mic check, 1, 2 spit, and DJ Faze cuts and chops it up like a kung fu flick. I'm on the track doing somersaults, and I'm sorry if I come across arrogant, but I swear I'm the boss. Top rank, salute the general of lyrical warfare, producing chemicals to kill MCs as I boost to pinnacles you can't reach. You looking like food, you edible. It's the capital F-A Ice on Murdoch Ave and Edenwald. That's the corner we play dice. Head cracks, 4, 5, 6 and trips. Then it's straight to the flight club to get some kicks. These niggas looking like how we spit so sick for so many years and still look fit as shit. Nigga, I bench press lyrics, do dips on bars, and push up on chicks when my dick gets hard. Face is my alias from way back in the days. Hey yo, DJ Faze, keep playing this. Yeah, I'm feeling this old school shit. DJ Faze, what up? What's good, homie? It's your boy Face, CEO of Face Off Entertainment, representing Fort Dox. I'ma go in on this one. Listen. This one's for DJ Faze, the shit that he played blaze, cut sharper than the EK blade. Rappers are eating, time to get the DJs paid. Faze, that's the fan, been rapping this Bronx shit like Big Pun. Carry big guns for the conflict, wedged under the armpit, eyeing the scope. Index finger on the trigger, dive you close. I don't promote violence, but approach, you know the toast firing, so I suggest you don't. Who you know flow better, hot enough to do the whole winter, no sweater. You could bet you won't find a better flow ever. Old school with a new school twist. You fools got 2 views on your YouTube hit. As I mic check, 1, 2 spit, and DJ Faze cuts and chops it up like a kung fu flick. I'm on the track doing somersaults, and I'm sorry if I come across arrogant, but I swear I'm the boss. top rank, salute the general of lyrical warfare, producing chemicals to kill MCs as I boost the pinnacles. You can't reach, you looking like food, you edible. It's the capital F-A ice on Murdoch Ave and Edenwald. That's the corner we play dice. Head cracks, 4, 5, 6 and trips. Then it's straight to the flight club to get some kicks. These niggas looking like how we spit so sick for so many years and still look fit as shit. Nigga, I bench press lyrics, do dips on bars, and push up on chicks when my dick gets hard. Face is my alias from way back in the days. Hey yo, DJ Phase, keep playing this.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's going on, people? Peace to everybody. Grand Rising, kings and queens, Grand Rising. What's good? What's good? What's good? Listen. We have this event coming up August 1st. DJ Phase and Bronxdale Houses tribute to the originators of hip hop. And it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be very, very nice. We have Breakout, Jazzy J, Theodore, Trey D, Saint. We have so many people just coming through, and gonna bless the turntables and the microphones. Also, we're gonna be definitely giving tribute to Disco King Mario, tribute to George Clinton, Ohio Players, James Brown. And so it's going to be delightful. I wanted to do this video today because I'm on my way going to Boston. We'll be performing in Boston this Saturday. And so I just wanted to jump in and say some things. I don't have a moderator today. Riri is on somewhat of a vacation, taking care of some business, and so she won't be here today. But we're gonna make it do what it do. I've been watching videos this whole week. And I have to say, this is something that I have to say, that I saw some things that make me realize that what I was saying was so true. No matter what we put proof, no matter what we show evidence, no matter what we do, people are gonna come and jump on the bandwagon and say things. They might not even say things that are true, because most of the time they don't. But the reason for them to even say these things is because they want to be in the hip hop conversation, number one, and they want their names to be known. So that's why usually I don't speak up their names. I don't say their names at all because they're not going to get any fame on my watch. So that's one thing. Another thing is talking about hip hop music and talking about, the creation of hip hop. And then they go in, when I say they, people go into how old the things are that contribute to hip hop. Well, let's start by saying this. There's always a base to everything. There's always a base, a foundation. There's always a base to it. So for us, meaning the Black Spades, the Little Rascals, the Baby Spades, our base was based on two people, not one that everybody thinks is just one person, but it's not. It's actually three people, to be honest with you. It's three people. And the three people that I must say and give tribute to is number one, James Brown. Number two, get ready for this because we're going to start hearing a lot more about this person now that I'm saying it. So I want all you guys, all my people that are here, I want you to know that on this day, today, I'm mentioning this person and watch how there's going to be topics on this person as well. So the number two person is Joe Tex. Joe Tex. And of course, the third person is Pigmeat Markham. So why do I say talk about Joe Tex? If you do the studies on Joe Tex and James Brown, in the 60s, they were feuding. They were actually feuding. There was some real incidents that happened. And both of them said that they stole each other's dance moves. So let's really get a little bit deeper to talk about dance moves. So I explained to you guys a lot of times about what breakdancing is and what's the difference between breakdancing and burning, or just breakdancing and just funk dancing or the spade dance. When James Brown and Joe Tex were feuding for these dance moves, they were moves that were put together by the music. And when I say put together by the music, meaning that they choreograph their steps to the sound of the music. So that's very, very important. That's very important. When people argue today about who did this and who did that first and where this move came from, if you look at the actual moves that take place, they're not coordinated to the exact music. So James Brown and Joe Tex, when they were creating these moves, these different moves, somewhat dances, because they did have a couple of dances, but they mostly had moves. And these moves were actually coordinated to the actual music itself. People argue and say, well, this was happening in the 60s, this was happening in the 50s and everything. The difference with the moves that Joe Tex and James Brown created became different with breakdancing because of the simple word break. So the moves that James Brown, or even though James Brown and Joe Tex did a little extra moves when there was somewhat of a drum solo, yes, they did. But the basis of their moves could be seen throughout the whole song, the whole music thing. So the difference with us, what we did was we had a certain move that was only moved when the break came on. Okay, so that's a big difference on how when the break came on, that's when the moves were started. It seems like there's a delay there. And people, if there's a delay in my thing, please put a one in the chat. Please put a one in the chat. Oh, my moderator is here. Great. This is great. This is wonderful. My moderator Riri is here. Yes, she's here. And so these moves that James and Joe Tex created were the basis of what we decided, and when I say decided, we decided to only have these certain moves in the break, in the break, the actual breakdown of the actual song or music. Now, what I've noticed, and this is something that I've noticed because a lot of people tell me about the rock dance, and a lot of people tell me about modern day break dancing, if you want to call it that. If you watch rock dancing or the up rock or whatever that they call it, if you notice the moves, let's say it's a two-step move, two steps. Those steps are never catered to the one. It's never catered to just those that solo breakdown. It's never catered to that. So from beginning to the end of a record, those dances, the rock dance and the up rock, are that move is continuous. It's continuous throughout the whole record. The difference in what we were doing is that the only time that we did these certain moves were the actual breakdown of the music to just the drums, just the drums. No bass lines, no keyboards, no, there were a couple of breaks that we use that had maybe the bass drum and a guitar, or maybe the drums and bass line came in after just the drums, or some horns or organ. And so this is something that people don't realize are the differences between what breakdancing is and what they call these dances that I don't understand. I really don't. Now, the reason why there's so much discord, or there's so much controversy about these dances, and I'll just say the Puerto Ricans that had took our dance and brought it all over the world. The difference is between us and them is that our soul is totally different from what they're doing. And if you recognize anything, if you don't recognize anything, just recognize those moves that they're talking about. One of the moves that I can remember and saw that it was totally on beat, and if you didn't do it on beat, then it wasn't considered the move. So the helicopter, which was an actual martial arts karate sweep, foot sweep, was actually done to the beat, and it was done to the one. So that first thing, the first sweep that went on, boom, that was to the one. Second time you did it, boom, it was to the one. Third time you did it, boom, boom. And it was coordinated to the one of the drum beat. When we look at these acrobats, and that's when I say Puerto Ricans do acrobats, because if you go back and you look at Wild Style, or you look at Beat Street, or you look at any of these movies that had that type of dancing in it, you'll notice that those moves are not coordinated to the beat. And what happened, and this is something that I've said before, what happened is, if you incorporate bongos, congos, a lot of percussion, and you're doing all of those percussions inside of the drum break, the drum beat, then you're able to hear so many different sounds that you cannot kind of catch the simple basis beat, the break. And so, from what the difference was with us, was that one part of our body moved to the bass drum, one part of our body moved to the snare drum, one part of our body moved to the hi-hat. And therefore, so if it was a tom-tom roll, or it was a floor tom roll, or a crash cymbal roll, you know, it would be coordinated to the actual drum beat. And so our foot moves, our arm moves, our neck moves would be connected to those beats. So I challenge the people that are saying that the breakdancing of today is the same breakdancing as when it was created. I challenge them to take a part of that dance that they're doing, and take the music out, and then put the music back in. And so once this happens, if they're not still on that same beat, if they don't, just like when we cue music now, and people sing the music and they sing the words to the music, the DJ should be able to mute the words, and the crowd should be able to fill in those words that we're taking out, and it should come back on beat. So I challenge you to take the beat out and put it back in, and see if they're still on beat. And I've never saw that done. I've never saw that done, and I mean by Puerto Ricans. And so, listen, don't think that I'm just against Puerto Ricans, because I'm not. And I think it's just this one guy that's actually messing it up for his fellow Puerto Ricans, because he's giving this false information to make them believe that what they're doing is how it was when it was created, which is wrong. It's totally wrong. I noticed this guy. He no matter what is proven to him, no matter what is shown to him, but in my mind, I believe he knows exactly what he's doing. And I believe he knows that if he says something that people will react to it, people will bring him up. And but I think that's doing a damage to the Puerto Rican culture that they have. See, we would never go and say, well, we started this if we didn't start it. We wouldn't go to, even though we could actually say it, we could trace it back to wherever we could trace it back to, but we don't need to do that. We really don't need to do that. Whatever we create, the dances, just say, take for instance, I was thinking about it the other day, you know, the Dougie, right? The James, the Pee Wee Herman, the Smurf. All of these dances were created with the music. You see, so it wasn't the Dougie, the everything, the Smurf. These dances were created for the music, with the music. So go back and look at these dances that they consider rock dance or up rocking or even what they call our breakdancing. So that's one of the things that I wanted to say. Let me give a couple of shout outs. Okay. Peace China Black. I already shouted out Riri. Oh, thank you so much, Riri, for coming there. And moderating for me. Who else is here? Okay. Adolph Montgomery here. Let me put this up. Says, my grandmother loved Joe Tex. Every time I hear his name, I think of her. Yes. See, Joe Tex is a very big part of hip hop. And a lot of times people skip over Joe Tex because of the fame and the notoriety that James Brown got. So they don't think about Joe Tex and his contribution to what we now know is hip hop. There's a lot of Joe Tex records that are break beats. There are just a lot of Joe Tex records. So you guys that want to learn about break beats, you have to go to the Joe Tex library and you'll find a lot of break beats there. And that was something that people didn't really relate to hip hop with. But Joe Tex is a high percentage of what we call hip hop. And so, yes, I totally understand when you think about your grandmother by hearing that, because in a lot of our generation, Joe Tex, was just, he was the funk that he had and that he does is, you can compare it to James Brown, But then again, some of his deliveries, and I must say, and you guys know how I feel about James Brown. I must say that some of Joe Tech's deliveries outdo James Brown. I said it. I said it. I probably thought I would never say that, but some of his deliveries uh, outdid James Brown. Um, One of the songs that I always listen to when I listen to Joe Tex is "I Gotcha." Thought I didn't catch it now, didn't I? Give me what you're talking about. There, right? And oh, you said a bad word. I'm gonna tell your mama on you. She gonna whip you too. Yeah, that's what she gonna do. Wow. And just playing that the other day when I played it, and I went back and I looked at the Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, and when they were playing the band and they were doing the horns, the exact horns. You guys got to go back and look. They were doing the horns from you said a bad word, and so these are some of the things that contribute to what is known as hip hop. People don't understand, what hip hop is. Really, a lot of people say that it's just the dancing, it's just the this, but hip hop and the people that are of hip hop have a multitude of combinations, meaning that, okay, it's fashion and it's lyrical, meaning that it's danceable, it's musical. It's so many combinations of things. It's funk, it's soul, it's jazz, it's rock. You know, it's so many things that are just put together, and I can't even say just one thing because it's not. It's a multitude of things. And so we get stuck on hip hop just have to be this. Hip hop has to be this. Hip hop has to have these elements. Hip hop, when that's not it. You can actually have what they say a church is two or more people, right? You could actually have two or more people and talking and snapping and moving and listening, you know, and that's hip hop. That whatever they're listening to, whatever they're talking about, that is hip hop. And so people take this name hip hop and they put this emphasis on it that it has to be this certain thing. Um, you know, I myself know that in the creation of hip hop, you couldn't call a hip hop jam if it didn't have break beats, if it didn't have somebody snapping on the mic, if it didn't have somebody, breakdancing. So in the creation of it, for me, I couldn't call that hip hop. That's just a regular party. If you're playing, the R&B, or you're playing, any other type of music, and they're not dancing the way that they're supposed to dance, as far as what we do, and they're not even talking the jive that we talk. To me, that's not considered hip hop. And so, why do people feel like that if you don't do this, or if you don't add graffiti, or if you don't, say something, that it's not hip hop, and I think that the name hip hop has been worn out. When I say worn out, because it's been played out, can I say? I think too many people don't understand what the true meaning of hip hop is. I don't think that they truly understand what hip hop is. And the reason why they wouldn't understand it is because look how many people misuse the name. Look how many people, it just, so many people take the word hip hop and say that it's because of this or it's because of that, not knowing what it was. Never going to a true hip hop jam, never being there. Let me tell you what a hip hop jam was for me. And this is for me. Let's say, for instance, that we set up in Rosedale Park. Now, back in the 70s, early 70s, 70, 71, 72, 73, when we would set up in the park, say, for instance, Mario's just playing, because when we're setting up, as soon as the speakers get out there, Mario used to want to put the records on, and I know this for a fact. He just wanted to start playing, and he didn't care about waiting for people to come, because during the setup of the music, people would just come. So putting on a record that I would probably wait until the park was packed to put on, Mario will put on this record. But now, as soon as that record goes on and people know that there's music in the park, or maybe if he put on the echo chamber, and he started announcing names and stuff, that beginning part, just that beginning part, was enough to say that this is a hip hop party. Like, because this is well, let me correct it. Let me make a correction. At that beginning part, according to what record was put on, it wasn't a hip hop party yet. It was just like a block party. It was just like a regular, music, being played. So it wasn't hip hop yet. Now, as soon as this started going on, and people are gathered around, and people are looking at the people that are coming, and the people that are coming, looking at the people that are there standing around, or dancing, or whatever. As soon as the MC talks over the breakbeat, and the dancer starts doing moves to this breakbeat, at that moment, it became hip hop. That's it. At that moment, that particular moment is when it became hip hop. The whole time before that, it was just a regular party. But as soon as the breakbeat, the MC, and the dancers got together on this particular break or beat, that's when it became hip hop. Okay, so now a lot of people ask me, and they ask me all the time, and we've said it on our other channel. Where does graffiti come into play with the jam that I was just talking about? Where does this graffiti come into play? Well, just like now, I have on a graffiti hat. My hat is graffiti. And so if more than me have this hat on, or somebody has a jacket, or somebody has some pants on, or whatever, then you could say that there was some graffiti at this hip hop jam. And that's it. You can't say that during this hip hop jam, somebody is writing graffiti somewhere. Where would they write it at? Where would they write this graffiti? So, where is that part of this hip hop jam? Is what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so let's say that we did this part of the jam in the handball court. On the handball wall, there might be graffiti. Okay. But to say that it's part of this jam is kind of ridiculous, because what if the Parks Department came right before we did the jam and painted over all the graffiti? Then at that particular time, there's no graffiti unless someone's wearing it on their clothes. So for the people that say, well, graffiti is a part of the cultures, it's a part of it's really hard to include it when, okay, I could say, this is something I could say. For me, I could say that if there was no break beats at the party, right, just regular songs, to me, that's not hip hop. If the MC doesn't get on the mic and start to say, vocalize over these break beats, it's not a jam to me. It's not a hip hop jam. If the dancer is just dancing regular, doing a two-step or whatever, and doing that without, concentrating on the parts of the record that is the get down part, then to me, that's not a hip hop party. It's just not. And that's my opinion. So can you have a hip hop jam without hip hop dancing? Can you have a hip hop jam without the music that is considered hip hop? Can you have a hip hop jam without someone talking over the music on the mic? I think at least those three things need to happen for it to be considered a hip hop jam. But can you have that without graffiti? Of course. You can have all three of those things without graffiti. So those that use this I guess operative to say that, well, we created graffiti or we brought graffiti to hip hop or it's basically a no winner because nothing about graffiti uh has to be at this jam. We'll go back to the flyers. The flyers would announce the jam, but the flyers were not in the jam. It wasn't a part of the jam. It was just flyers. um you know uh Graffiti on clothing or on a wall of something. When we would go to a lot of places that there were no graffiti, and because there was no graffiti, did that mean there was not a hip hop jam? Is that what it meant? That there was not a hip hop jam because there was no graffiti there? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so a lot of these claims and a lot of these people say that this is what has to be done. This is the rules of hip hop when they're not actually saying what hip hop is. Um, I don't know about this person. Uh, Peace Gold Star, what's going on? Big up, big up. Um, okay, let's see what China Black says. Uh, Columbus knows exactly what he's doing and how he can manipulate his followers. Puerto Ricans out in these New York streets don't like him and said he's purposely causing division. And I think you're right. I think you're right, China Black. I think that that's what he's doing, and that's why I don't respect him at all. You know, the division is that number one thing for me. Why I think when I think there's division is because if someone takes someone's creation and takes it and says that no, it's not your creation, it's my creation. That to me is theft. That's theft. No matter, what you want to say, that's theft. And it would be to me if that person gave homage and said, "Well, listen, I'm trying to add on to something that was created," you know, then that's actually paying homage, But I've noticed, and you know what? Now that you say that, I'm talking to China Black right now. Now that when you say that, I have to take a deep look at who is actually listening to him, who is actually agreeing with him, who is actually saying that what he is doing is okay. So I'm gonna start taking a look at that because, of course, he has what I called them before minions, and they always agreeing or whatever. They, if he says something about me, they, oh yeah, that's right, whatever. But in reality, he is the one that is making this controversy, this division, with us. And that's just no other way to put it. He's the one that's making this division with us. So yeah, I've always, I not always, but I've learned to actually ignore him. And once we ignore him, and once we let, then he has no other choice but to just do what he does, and nobody cares, you know. Nobody cares what he does, and that's basically it. Yeah. I knew you were gonna mention. I gotcha. That was the. I gotcha. Uh huh. Uh huh. And John the Black. See, I'm glad. I'm glad that some of us are still here and able to teach the following generation about these things. When I mention Joe Tex, you know, I look at these things. I look at a lot of the the podcasts and the videos and stuff, and the hearing of Joe Tex is basically very, it's very low percentage of people that mention Joe Tex. And so I would like to see how it's going to pick up now that I said it. And I want to see how many videos now are going to do the research on Joe Tex and see what happens. But Joe Tex, like I said before, is a very, it's like a vein for hip hop. A lot of the stuff was pulled out of the Joe Tex style. And one thing we must know that it was, if it was so much of a battle back then between Joe Tex and James Brown, that it had to be something like, James Brown probably, if Joe Tex was nothing, would have just whatever, um even Little Richard, would he said it, later on about the things. But if he wasn't that, then James would have just left it alone. If he didn't have a certain move or whatever, James wouldn't have said he stole a move, or he wouldn't have said that James stole a move or whatever. So that's very, very critical in our stuff, in our culture. Another thing that I wanted to uh, give my opinion on is the culture of these things, the culture of hip hop and what we do. We, I remember, and this is something that I remember the adult party. I remember the adult party. And I remember the adults listening to the X rated record albums. I remember that, and I remember smelling the cigarette smoke, or maybe smelling some alcohol, or whatever, and seeing people just move into this certain beat, or just grooving, and I remember the 45s dropping one after the other, and watching the people sit down, and after they got their dances on or whatever, and then they have to sit down because they're so sweaty and they're so tired. I remember that, and that's a part of our culture. I can remember, them just, whenever there was a jukebox around, somebody to go ahead and load up that jukebox with the records that they wanted to hear, and they danced to it. And I remember watching the slow dances, and putting together. I remember that. I remember the style of dressing. I remember having Easter clothes. I remember having Sunday school clothes, and Sunday. I remember those things, and those are part of our culture. I remember smelling the burning wax on getting my sister's hair straightened, or something like that. I remember that. I remember getting my hair braided and then blowed out and have an afro. That's a part of our culture, you see. And so for me, I feel like that's what they're trying to grab from us. They're trying to take the ending of somewhat of our cultures, but they don't have that contribution that was given to us. They don't have it. There was, like I said it before, we all know who had a clean house, or who had a nasty house, um, on a Saturday morning, because in our culture, even if you didn't have a lot of furniture, even if you didn't have a lot of things, on Saturday morning, that was cleanup time. Like listening to music and cleaning up, waxing the floors, or whatever, the mirrors, and dusting and all that. Putting clothes away or whatever. We always had a wash machine, and so we all, making the beds and stuff like that. So those times were constructed on Saturdays. Like, these are something, and so that's a part of our culture. That's a part of our culture, and for someone to want to take those memories, take that and say no, that's not how it is, that's not how it should be, that's not, and that's the part where the division comes in. And that's the part where, people get angry, because we know what we did. We know what Saturday morning was like. We know what the Friday night or Saturday night adult party was. We know what that was, and we felt that. So those are a part of our culture that created hip hop. Now, this is the part that is a big controversy. People say, well, they were doing this in the 60s. Well, they were doing this in the 50s and the 40s. Well, they were, and they taking these parts of the things and saying that that's what it was. So if you look, and I want you guys to do your own diligence, if you look And what they call breakdancing in the 40s or 50s, right? And the people would come out. I seen one where they on the floor and they kicking their feet up on the floor and everything. The difference, the difference between that and what we created was the music. It was the music. So you could have a whole band playing when they were doing those dances. You could have the whole band playing at the same time, and they would do those dances, dun, 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 right? And they would do those dances, be on the floor, kicking up, and all of that. But the difference between us was we didn't do that through the whole music. We didn't do that throughout the whole song. We didn't do that. We got down on the floor when that solo drum beat came on. That's it. Okay. So they say, that they were taking music outside back in the 40s and back here in the whatever. They were taking music outside. Yes, they were. But they taking the music and taking this drum solo and coordinating this drum solo with someone talking on the mic and someone dancing to that. Just that. Were they doing that in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s? Were they doing that? No, they were not. So that's why we call it what we call it, the creation of hip hop. That's what the creation is. We created this style. We created this sound of music. We created this look, this lingo, to go with it. When you look at the Jubileers and they're singing, that's gospel. That's gospel. And that's been around for a long time. But now, if they had took the drum beat and matched it up with what they were singing or emceeing, if you want to say, then you would notice that that's hip hop when they put that drum beat to the Jubileers, and that's it. And then somebody could be, dancing to that. That would have made it hip hop, but that's not what it was. I think I have it. I can't play too much of it, but
Well, it's over and over. Oh, oh no, oh no. God's gonna ride on the winning tide, but it's over and over. Oh, oh no, oh no. God's gonna ride on the winning tide. Brother Noah, my God's talking right over.
okay, so I played that part of it, right? Now let's go to the part where they consider it to be hip hop. Okay, now this is the part where they consider it to be hip hop.
Stop, he said, stop still and listen to me. God walked down to the briny sea. He declared that he was the son of man, and then he decided to destroy the land. He spoke to Noah. Noah stopped. He said, Noah, I want you to build me an ark.
Okay, so now, what is the difference? I'm asking my audience right now, what is the difference between what that is and what we created? What is the difference? I want to go into the comments because I want to know what do people believe is the difference between what I just played and what it is. Hold on. Hold on. Someone said drums. Okay. Okay. Someone said nothing. Okay. Somebody said nothing. So let's go. Talk about what it is. Matter of fact, let me play it again. Let me play it again.
I want you to build it 3 cubits long. I want you to build it big and strong. I want it 50 high and 50 wide so it will stand the wind and tide.
Okay. So now, this is the difference. Yes, whoever said drums is 100% correct. The drums would have made that hip hop. Okay. And do you listen to the chorus and you listen to what somewhat of the rap was and put together in a song? So hip hop, right, is not formatted into, well, now it is, but back then when it was created, it wasn't put in song format. So that's the difference. What they were doing was a song that was created way years before they put that out. That was the song. That was a song, gospel song at that. Okay. And so that's the difference. The difference is how it was put to the music and what the variations were as far as consigning it to a song. So that's the difference. And so people that say, oh, well, we had this back then in the 40s, we had this back in the 20s, and oh, they did this back in the. No, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong. And these are the comparisons that are used to say that we didn't create anything. These are the comparisons that they use to say that we didn't create anything. So imagine us knowing that we created something, knowing that we created a style, knowing that we created a sense of how we say our lyrics or something. Knowing that we created that, and then someone comes along and says, "Oh no, y'all didn't create anything. That's been here. That's something that's been here." No, no. The records, and then someone said to me, and this is what bothered me so much too as well, is that they said that James Brown was the one that the breaks were, or yes, the breaks were in James Brown records, yes. The breaks were in Joe Tex records. The breaks were in so many Lynn Collins, Rufus Thomas, so many records. But that's the catch. What made it hip hop was that we didn't play all of the record. The hip hop made it to where we could only take a part of that record and play it and make it do something. That's the difference with hip hop. So, yes, James Brown had Cold Sweat. Perfect. My go to record, my go to breakbeat. And so Cold Sweat had everything. Had the bass, had the horns, the keyboard, the everything, and it went. But the break was when he said, "Give the drummer some," and then once that, okay, that's it. Funky drummer, gonna mop the floor, gonna mop the floor. A 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it. That's the break. So the break dancer didn't care about all the rest of that record. The anticipation came waiting for him to say, "You're going to mop the floor. We're going to mop the floor." Once we heard that part, that was our hip hop. That was the part where we concentrated on doing our moves. And that's the difference between those other people that say that they were part of us when we created that and us. Okay, because that's what we concentrated. So, like I was telling you guys a lot of times before, there were so many records. Listen, there's this record. I'm never going to tell the name of it, but there's this record, and it is an absolute classical record. Like, it's a classical record. Like, it has the timpani and tubas and violins and everything. But it was a play. It was a play, okay? And out of the whole album, that you'll hear the classical music, dun, 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 you know, and you'll hear the violin, you know, and everything. But there is, for, I would say, 18, 19 seconds of a drum kit that just the bass drum, the snare drum, and the hi-hat. And it just does that. Now, how could we take that record and be at a hip-hop jam and play just that record? The answer is we could not. The only part that we could play off that whole album was that snippet of the drums. So the record could be, you know, like I said, The record could be the whole the album, but just that one piece of that album was the part that we were interested in. So now that album could have came out years ago, years ago, but because it had that drum space on there, was it hip hop? No. Was it used for hip hop? Definitely yes. So are you guys kind of catching what I'm trying to say now? Are you like feeling and understanding where I'm going with this? So all together, if you put all of those together and say that, oh, they were doing it this record had it in there already or whatever, you have, what kind of argument is that? Because if that's the case, drums, violin, bass guitar, harmonica, woodwinds, all of that been a long time ago. But with those instruments, jazz was created, rock and roll was created, classical was created, blues was created, soul was created. So why is it that because of us, when we create something with these instruments, with these things, with these sounds, it's always said, oh, well, that's been here. That's been here. That's, that ain't nothing new. We've been doing that. And that's what happens. That's where, and it's sad. It's really sad. It's sad, but that's just what it is. Okay. Let me play that one more time. Hold on. Let me.
Oh no, I got to go to ride on the wedding time, but it's a oh no, oh no, oh no, I got to go to ride on the wedding time. Got to go to ride on the wedding time.
So now, yes, what is the date to that? It's before the 70s, right? But people say that, well, okay, look, they've been doing hip hop since they've been rapping since the Jubilees. They've been, and each time they come up with these things, and it was so funny. Oh my God! And I know you guys know who I'm talking about. They're going back and forth with the clave and with the this type of music and everything, and this was part of this and this was part of that, and I have to laugh. I really have to laugh because if you think about it, just seriously think about it. Say there's a triangle. A triangle, you know what the triangle is. Ding, 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 right? In a part of the music, right? Can you say that wherever that triangle was made is where the music comes from? Can you say that? Is there any way that you can say that? Is there any way that you can say, that's a certain style of music that comes back from somewhere else. You can say all of that. You can say it. But what does that have to do with our hip hop? You see what I'm saying? What does that have to do with who us creating hip hop? And so I just wanted you guys to know that and see what I was saying with that. Okay, hold on. Yeah, and then I'm going to go back into some more comments, you guys. Okay. Wow, there's a couple of comments that came in here when I wasn't there. Let's see what this is. Yo, Face, tell the cameraman on the mic channel, stop trying to compare Mario to the DJs that came after him because Mario is the creator and the other DJs are emulators and biters. Yes, that's true. That's true. And I think the comparisons come in with what the difference is of what Mario was and what the difference is between Mario and the DJs that came actually after him. So I think that's where the comparisons come in at. Okay, big up, peace. Um, Oh, Princess is in the building. Princess is in the building. Princess, our jam is coming up soon. The Most High, peace. Most High is in the building. Definitely in the building. Um, hold on. I think the crossfader is important too, and the names like Grandmaster Flowers, DJ Jones, and Cool D. Okay. You know, put it this way. Put it this way. You know, a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people that talk about Grandmaster Flowers and Pete DJ Jones, even Cool D, um, what I've noticed, and this is something that I've noticed, these people have read somewhere about these names, read it, and have never actually heard these DJs DJ. And that's a big difference. There's a big difference between listening to what we're saying about Mario and actually experiencing a jam with Mario. One of the things that I can remember is that I remember I was I saw these I guess it was like a block party, and they were, they had these two house speakers. No, they had four house speakers outside, and they were, just putting records on and putting records on. And at the time, I was, I was young, but I was saying to myself, that ain't it. That's not it. They're just regular. That's not it. That's just it. And the records that they were choosing to play, it was the records that were on the radio and everything. But knowing the difference between what that was and coming home and playing, with Mario was just totally different. It was totally different. The music that Flowers played, I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it. Flowers and Pete DJ Jones played club music. That's all I can say. That's what I'm gonna say. Pete DJ Jones and Grandmaster Flowers played club music from what I heard. Okay, this is my opinion on it. They played club music. Cool DJ D and Tyrone played club music. Tyrone's favorite record that I remember was MFSB. Anytime we were anywhere, because I even played with them, later on in life. And that was Tyrone, God rest his soul. That was his go-to record. And so, that was a club record. That was a record played at the club. And that's a record that you play, and it's a man and a woman dancing to that record. So that's a club record. And Cool D, he would play club records as well. And so that's the difference. Now Cool D, because who he is or whatever, he would play records that we wanted to hear. If we wanted to hear a certain record, he would play it. He would definitely play it. But I think Cool D, Tyrone, Pete DJ Jones, and Flowers, they catered to the older people. I think that's what it was about for me. So, I don't think, and this is just my opinion, I don't think Flowers could just cater to us b-boys. I don't think he could just throw a party just for us, just for the b-boys. I just don't think that. I don't think he could throw just a hip hop jam. Pete DJ Jones, I don't think that they could throw a hip hop jam. And so I think that's what the difference is. And I think so far that people have read in these books and saw interviews and saw people talking about them, and so relate that to hip hop. Relate. Oh, he was playing it at this, in the '60s and stuff like that. But like I said, there's a difference between what was played and what hip hop is. There's a total difference. Okay. I said peace. Okay. Isaiah. Hey, peace, Isaiah. Yo, Faze, if you look at the hip hop jams at Bronxdale and Rosedale or Shawrock Day or any projects today, there's no graffiti or breakdancing nowadays, and it's still a hip hop jam. Am I right? Yes. But what I can say is that when these events happen, you might see someone doing what I guess the next version of breakdancing. You might see one or two of them doing that. But as far as graffiti is concerned, but that's all the time. That's always happened. There was never just some graffiti at a jam. Could somebody please tell me when there was been just like a graffiti jam. Like you had some graffiti in a jam. You like where would they write it on? Who would be writing? While this jam is taking place. So I've always said that. So yeah, Isaiah, the well, and also I want to say, Isaiah, I want to say something too about this is that the spirit of hip hop to me faded out. And that's just my opinion. Because one thing that I can say for definite, for definite, that a hip hop jam back in the days, right? Number one thing was people were dancing. Number two thing was after, when it was time to go home and when it was time to turn the lights on, if you were on the inside, even on the outside, that slow jams were always played at the end. Now, people ask me, well, what are you talking about? Why were the slow jams played at the end? And for all you hip hop, real true hip hoppers, and all you generation of people from my generation and older, why were the slow jams? That's the question I'm asking. Why were the slow jams played at the end of a hip hop jam? Can somebody answer that was in our generation? Answer that. So I'll wait for those answers to come before I tell you why. Faze, I seen Anita talking to him in comments very cordially, shaking my head. I meant to say this a while ago. I hinted at it. Well, people want their name out there. People want to be known. And people don't have to want their name to be out there if they just be themselves and do what it is that makes hip hop. That's it. You don't have to go overboard to get your name known. You don't have to, oh my goodness, just be a good person. Just be a good person and do the right things, and people will admire that and respect that. That's all. JG's in the building. What's going on, JG? You must have came late. What's going on with you? Peace, peace, peace. Okay. Um, Chuck Shootout had Old Timers Day on Olinville Avenue 2 weeks ago. That was a hip hop block party jam. That's the same way it was in the 70s. Well, let me tell you, I can only speak on what I see. What I see. The difference between a block party and a hip hop jam is this. A hip hop jam basically is created for the type of music that's played, the dances that are danced, and the lyrics that are said. So remember, back in the days, and this is when I say back in the days, there was no stopping Like there was like from the time you got to the jam to the slow jams, it was just nonstop. It was nonstop. So, and especially like the beginning jams, there's the one DJ got on there, and then an MC got on there, and then another MC got on there, and another DJ trying to get in there, and the dancers are just dancing, 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 and it just never would stop. A block party, there's just different types of music. There's stopping and talking. There might be a time where the records are slower, or dedicated to someone, or someone could get in the middle of that and make a speech or something, or time. So a jam didn't have that. A jam was straight up. Okay, when the DJ gets on, he gonna start playing his records, and then the break was gonna come on, and then the MC is gonna come on, da, 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 and the dancers will be dancing, and that's it. And then the next thing you know, the DJs are arguing with each other, trying to get on the set to show off his stuff, and then he gets on the set and shows off his stuff, and the next MC gets on there and shows off his stuff, and and the dancers are in there, and so the people will go from seeing one people dancing over here to run over there to the other side and see them dancing, and then the DJ might do a scratch or something, and they'll run up to the DJ booth, or the MC might say something really fine, and they'll run back to them. So a jam back in the days was continuous. That's all I can say. And there was no time for eating. There was no time for there was none of that. There was just, all it was like a big show off thing. That's the only way I could put it. It was a show off thing, and so that was the difference between a jam and a block party for me. Okay, Faze, of course, she doesn't know everything he says, but she still agrees with some, and I tell you, Princess, like I said, you now we're able to look at people and see who just wants to be down. Like, we see the people that just want to be down, like they don't care about anything else but being down. Being down with the cool people, and I've seen that, a lot. I've seen that a lot. The people that were never really down might feel like they got a chance to be down with the cool people, and they go for it. It's basically it. They go for it. So yes, Princess, I totally get it. Okay. Hold on. Pilo, what's up? Peace. Okay, Charlene was the one that said nothing. But I see. Okay, now look, Charlene. No, that's Charles. Sure, right? Charlize. Sure. The answer that you were saying, was that for what is the difference, but what the Jubilees were doing and now? So here, this guy says it's the drums and on the one. So that's a perfect example. So let me see what your next thing is. If you put a modern beat behind it, it's no difference. Well, there you go. You just said it. You said if you put a modern beat behind it, just the beat, not just the record, the whole record, just the beat, then there is no difference. And that's what the difference is, the beat. Okay. All right. Okay, so that looks like it's about it. Um, let's see what this says. That's a very, very key point. I didn't think about. So true. Okay, there you go. Hold on. Hip hop was a creation until Bronxdale started stalking claim to the creation of hip hop. Whoa. Okay, and I knew this guy. I had a feeling about that. Hip hop was a creation until Bronxdale started staking claim to the creation of hip hop. So, um, I don't even need to go in on you. I really don't need to go in on you because I know I know you who you probably are, but look, just think about what you're saying. Hip hop was a creation, right? Okay, who created it? If it was a creation, that meant that it had to be created. So who created it? And then he says, until Bronxdale started staking claim to the creation of hip hop. So if Bronxdale created hip hop, what is there not to stake a claim? But see, like I said, these people, that do this and come in like that, um, those are the ones, like I said before, are the ones that want to be in the hip hop conversation because a lot of times, these people were never included. They were never included in anything, anything cool, may I say. And so the internet is where they're able to be faceless and be able to say something. And, they're once they say something in a cool conversation, because anybody can come into a cool conversation on the internet. So now they have a voice that people can actually see them saying something because without the internet, they can scream till they blue in the face, and nobody cares. nobody listens to them or anything. So they get to the internet and they're like, they can say something and people are going to read it and say something about it. And that's their thing. So you guys, those people that do that, I mean, have fun. Okay? Just if that's what turns you on, if that's what makes you feel cool, scared. just go for it. Oh. Okay, Mario, the Spades and Bronxdale are the creators of hip hop, and the world knows it. Okay, so I don't understand. I maybe the wording is wrong with what I read, but it says hip hop was a creation, right? A creation until Bronxdale started staking claim to the creation of hip hop. So are you saying that Bronxdale didn't create hip hop? What are you saying? Like it's confusing to me, and I'm not even gonna bend my mind on it anymore. Derek, what's up? Peace, Derek. What's good? Okay, thank you. That was man point. Okay. When Marvin Gaye made T Plays It Cool was making a break his intentions. Um, well, See, oh God, oh God. All right. So when you say when Marvin Gaye made T Plays It Cool, was making a break beat his intention? His intention was to have a breakdown of the music. Now, oh, this is so. This is a question that I've been saying and trying to explain for years. So because now you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, or doesn't know what he's talking about. T Plays It Cool. Uh, it was a record for a soundtrack. Okay, so that's the difference. So in the soundtrack, there's a part in the movie that doesn't need all the rest of the music, all of the rest of the instruments that are playing to give it that dynamic sound, that dynamic feeling. Just like horror flick when it goes dun, 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 like Jaws or whatever. It goes dun, 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 and there's a crescendo getting louder. The intense part is the part when it's subtle little and and that's what Marvin Gaye was creating. He was creating an intense part with those drums and a silky smooth part with the bass line, or the keyboards, and the horns, so that's it. So all the people that didn't know that, I hope that little bit of information was enough for you guys to understand what that was. Okay. Okay, that's the difference. I always thought Flowers and Jones and Dean were doing the same thing. Thanks for making the difference. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That is it. That is totally it. Okay, you guys. Think I actually like that. I like the questions. I like the questions, and who is this? What does this say? Interesting that Sugar Hill Gang's rapper Delight sounds closer the Flowers and Pete style of DJ. Yes, yes, because Good Times is a club record. Good Times is an actual club record. And, Good Times, Good Times is a combination of club and, I would say, disco. So, club meaning that the discotheque, disco meaning what type of groove it is, what type of music it is. So, yes, rappers, that's why, oh my goodness, that's why people say that disco was before hip hop, because of records like this, because of Good Times and things like that. Okay. Okay, that's when we trying to bag that chick. We've been looking. Yes, yes, that is it. That is totally it. Now, listen, a lot of you guys, and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna come out and say it. A lot of you guys come on to the channel, but are not subscribed. I looked at the stats of it, and a lot of guys, a lot of people come on to the channel, but don't want to hit that like button. A lot of people don't want to hit that share button. They don't want to hit the subscribe button. Why is that? Why I really want to know, why is that? What is the holdback to liking? I'm not even talking about donating anymore. I'm talking about liking and subscribing and sharing. What is the reasoning behind someone come in, get the information, understand, ask questions and stuff, but don't subscribe? Like, is there something, wrong? Like, is there something wrong with that? Like, is that not cool to do it? Come on, like and subscribe. Okay, Cool says he's agreeing with me. And I listen, cool. That's what I thought in the beginning, but then I didn't understand what it meant until when you said staking the claim. But okay, I'm cool. I'm cool with anything that's good. I'm cool. Okay. Um, because all night you were trying to get a chick's attention or number, and you figured if you dance with her, you can get that number, right, Isaiah? Right. So he's answering. See, I'm late. He's answering what I said of why people wanted to put slow jams at the end. Yes, yes, yes. And that's it. I'm saying other people are saying hip hop is not a creation until Bronxdale started. That's now you're talking. Now you're talking. Okay, guys. All right. That's it for me. Please, I ask again, please like, share, support the channel. Everything is there. If you're going to make a donate to the Cash App or the PayPal, it's not going to kill you. A couple of dollars or whatever, throw into the thing to keep the channel going. And also, I want you guys to actually come out, because, August, we're going to have August 1st. We're going to have a super duper best hip hop show on the planet on August 1st. And it's going to be in the Bronxdale houses. See, I don't call it Soda Moyo, Soda Moto, or whatever. It's always going to be Bronxdale houses to me. And it's going to be in the first section basketball court. In the basketball court, first section. And, how can I say it? It's going to be it's going to be a real jam. So if you guys have never been to an actual jam, Dwan B is coming. All right, he called me. Dwan B is going to be there. Breakout's going to be there. Theodore, Jazzy J, Mean G, Cold Crush, Trey D, Collective Flow. So many people are going to be here. Cool Chip. And so if you have never been to a hip hop jam, I would advise you guys to come and experience a real hip hop jam on August 1st, 2026, from 1 to 6. So if you get there before 1 and don't see something going on, well, you'll see something going on, but we were not going to turn the music on until 1 o'clock. And 1 to 6 is the time. So Soundview Day is also on that day. So people will be going from Soundview to coming over to us, and some of us will probably be going over to Soundview Day. And Boogie Black, of course, is going to be performing, doing his record, and it's going to be a Stone Cold Blast. Stone Cold Blast. All right. So listen, you guys, it's been fun. Always, always fun. Anytime I come here. Okay. Yes, yes, Riri. August 1st. Feel the real. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, and so that's it. So let me put this up here one more time. And like I say, you guys, support. Let's support each other. You guys got Cash App. You guys got PayPal. Let's support each other. All right, that's what it is. That's what it is. So peace.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!